Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the new Supervisors in Government Community of Practice virtual networking discussion. I see people are joining us right now, so we'll give everybody a minute or two until we officially get started here. In the meantime, we'd love to do a quick little icebreaker in the chat with everyone if you feel like participating. Um, you can probably see from behind me, I'm ready for the holidays. I'm excited for the holidays. So we were just curious what everyone's favorite holiday or New Year's or winter traditions might be. Get in the holiday winter spirit here. We obviously put up a Christmas tree every year, but I do have to share this is one of three. I have three Christmas trees. I like putting them in each room on our living floor here on our main floor. Um, so that's definitely part of it. Let's see what everyone's sharing. Oh goodness, here we go. I love this. Let me see if I can catch up. Homemade egg noodles, cookie baking with family. That's always good. Matching holiday PJs for family. That's always adorable. Going to church, making Christmas cookies, countdown. Oh, the advent calendars are so fun. Family dinners, gingerbread houses. I got pictures from my daughter's preschool today. They're making gingerbread houses. So cute. Family dinners. And an ornament to your son every year. I love that too. Oh, well, thanks for sharing, everybody. These are some good traditions. I might have to steal a couple Christmas movies, obviously. Okay, well, welcome again, everyone. This is the new Supervisors in Government Community of Practice virtual networking event. We host these monthly. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us today. The purpose of these discussions is to cover a topic that's relevant for supervisors or new supervisors in government. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Our topic of discussion today is going to be how to inspire an unmotivated team. But before we get into that, just a couple of reminders for you all. My name is Leah Anderson. I'm the Digital Marketing Director here at GovLoop. And again, thanks for spending your Monday afternoon with us. It looks like some of you already know this, but feel free to use the chat. We really encourage that so that you can connect with each other. That's a good place to put in comments or questions for either myself or our speaker today, Melissa. We'll try to get to as much as we can, but again, that's a place for you all to engage with each other. So keep chatting away. We love to see an active chat in there. Just a reminder that we do have a LinkedIn group as well. So if you're feeling chatty in the chat, feel free to take that over to the LinkedIn group too and keep connecting with your peers there. So today I'm so excited. I'm joined by Melissa Lewis, who's a division director at the Health Resources and Services Administration for at the HHS agency. I'm super excited to have you join me here, Melissa, and we can get straight into our discussion questions because it's going to be a dense topic, I think. So welcome.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
Excellent. I do think I can hear maybe one person who's
Are
not.
you starting out there tomorrow?
What?
Are you starting out there tomorrow?
Haven't decided. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Just a gentle reminder, please mute yourself. But we will take questions in the chat if you have something. So yes, today's topic, we're going to talk about how to motivate an uninspired team. So this seems like something that maybe comes up. It feels topical right now because we're slipping into, winter. Maybe there's a little seasonal depression happening. I'm in a pretty dark room right now because the sun sets so early. So we all feel these big changes, the lull of the season. So we want to kind of just talk about how that might affect our teams in a professional sense. So we can start broadly here. Melissa, my first question for you is, as a supervisor, new supervisor, what are some common signs we should look out for when we start seeing a lull or some, maybe lag on the team? What do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And from my experience, just being a supervisor and being in other groups where there's shared information and just our experiences as being supervisors, some of the common signs that we've seen include low engagement, which ultimately leads to lack of innovation, analysts or staff members not taking any initiatives. And, if you read the research articles, you will see that at least 3 levels of engagement, right? So, of course, you have the engaged employee. This is the one that completes their work with passion and they're present and they bring the ideas, etc. And then you have those who are not engaged. That means they're on the verge of being checked out and they're doing the bare minimum, essentially, just to, as they say, get a paycheck. And then you have those who are actively engaged. And this is where you really, really don't want to get into because it definitely creates issues, even across teams. And those who are actively engaged are those that are very unhappy and the morale of the team can be impacted based on their individual behavior. So other signs of unmotivated teams could also include, again, reduced productivity, low employee retention. So just if you're observing that people are just leaving one after the other, there's definitely an issue there. And then it becomes a very, so to speak, if your top performer then decides to leave. So are some of the, in my experience, some of the signs that you can look for unmotivated teams.
Okay, that's helpful. I do want to just address, I want to see if we have a question. It looks like Kristen, you've raised your hand. Let me know if there is a question you have, or if maybe that was by accident. That's okay. Okay, that's all right. We can come back to you if if you do have a question later. But next question for you, Melissa. What strategies can you recommend to help support your team's motivation, and then also on an individual level? So we kind of want to talk about 2 different things here, how maybe to address your team at large about motivation and then on an individual basis.
Absolutely. And I think in order for you to motivate your team as a whole, you have to start on the individual basis, right? So each individual person on a respective team, they have their own individual needs, individual professional aspirations. They are bringing to you their own individual development plans. And so you want to ensure that you are supporting that analyst on an individual basis. As long as you continue to pour and support those respective analysts on an individual basis, helping them to meet their own individual needs and goals, that's where you really start to see the momentum of the team as a collective starting to shift in a positive direction. So in order to do this, some things that I have tried in the past is ensuring that I'm building a strong foundation of trust. And a strong foundation of trust, it comes with creating a system of respect for everyone. So you want to respect what everyone brings to the table, no matter how big or small it may be. Every member of a group has something that they can contribute. You also ensure that you are treating people fairly. What you do for one, you want to ensure that you're doing it for all. Creating a system of trust also includes ensuring that you're recognizing people, right, regardless of the magnitude of their contributions. You want to ensure that your words and your actions sync. So if you're saying X, Y, Z, you want to ensure that you're doing it as well through your actions. Transparency through communication is also big. Of course, as managers and supervisors, sometimes there's only so much we can share. But when you provide the why for the reason or the direction you're trying to go, you will find that you're getting significant buy-in from team members. Again, recognition and reward of excellent work. That's definitely something I will continue to champion. And also investing in your employees, right? So you want to invest in your employees, whether it's providing them with professional development opportunities. And this doesn't have to be anything that's super big, right? You can look for free classes, right? free development opportunities that are available online. GovLoop, for example, has lots of activities that you can ensure that you're sharing with your staff members, so that they know that there are resources out there that can help them to achieve their own individual development plans. And then you also, and this is the big part for me, ensure that you're prioritizing your employees' well-being. And again, you can take very, very simple initiatives such as carving 15 minutes out, maybe one day a week, just to have, like we call, water cooler conversations, or drop a fun trivia in a group chat, find time to do lunch together, and find time to really get to know each other outside of just speaking about work and task and deliverables, etc. And those are definitely some strategies that I have used and highly recommend that can help to support your team members, both on an individual and as a group, as well as ensuring that you're infusing a positive culture into the work environment.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all that. There's a lot to take away there. I think what you mentioned about recognition is really powerful. That's something we talk about. That's a topic we kind of care and provide a lot of coverage on here at GovLoop too. I think we have a new post on that. I can make sure we share with everyone too. But I just think it's so powerful because I think in my experience, I've become maybe disconnected or disengaged sometimes from my work, and that makes me feel a little unmotivated. But when somebody else communicates some recognition, it's like it's very powerful when you feel like your work is being seen or valued, and that's always kind of put a pep back in my step. I'm like, oh, someone is noticing, or this is meaningful in some way. So I think the recognition piece really resonates with me a lot, and I'm glad you pointed that out. So our next question for you is, we want to kind of, again, as supervisors, we have to be aware of everybody's on our team and different personalities and different working styles and communications and all that. So how do you see people's personalities kind of impact how we respond to motivation? It's very personal, right?
Right, absolutely. And as we all know, whether you're a supervisor, whether you've been a supervisor for a significantly long time, as individuals, there's those intrinsic motivating factors, right? The feel good because I got something accomplished, or the feel good because I got something accomplished, and tying it back, I receive a recognition, whether it was through an email thank you for the deliverable that I did, or I receive a certificate, or I receive a time off award, whatever it is. It's that feel good, that intrinsic factor that helps you to continue to be motivated because there's something in it for you, right? And then you also have those external factors, or the extrinsic factors, again, awards, the recognitions, and you continue to put your best foot forward because you want to avoid unnecessarily negative consequences for not delivering on what you committed to do, or what you were asked to do, etc. So I do believe that personalities, right, has a significant impact on how we respond to motivation. And for some folks, again, it's built in. It's those intrinsic drivers. And then for others, it could be more external in terms of how people react to, or again, reward the recognitions versus, the personal interest, the feel-good projects that you receive, etc. So I think there's definitely a strong connection between our own intrinsic drivers versus the external factors that kind of influence our motivation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. It's something we've talked about before at GovLoop, and I'm gonna dig this up, but I think there are even quizzes you can do as an exercise with your team because some people don't even know, like, what are my motivation drivers, or what really does resonate with me? What makes me want to do a better job? Like sometimes we don't really know what that is. So there are quizzes, again, you can do with your team and share with your team members to really figure that out. And you can share, hopefully they share that with you and then also their peers too, because it is so powerful. Like just even learning that someone is motivated by public feedback or public recognition is huge. So knowing that on a personal basis, I'll try to dig up that tool because it was really helpful.
And Leah, I think you definitely made a very good point. Sometimes as managers and supervisors, the mistake that I think we make is that we assume that this is what someone wants in terms of recognition. But it's very and highly encouraged that you really get to learn your staff again on an individual basis to know what are their motivating drivers, right? How do they like to be recognized? And sometimes it's just a matter of asking because for some, they don't necessarily want the incentive award, whether it's time off or cash. They want a public shout out, so to speak. They want to be recognized through a nice thank you note, an email, whether it's a certificate in a meeting, etc. So sometimes it's just simply asking what motivates you, right? And then you get to know that person. And so you want to ensure that you're delivering the recognition that's responding to their internal drivers as well.
Makes sense. And I think too, just as a supervisor, taking time to do that exercise kind of demonstrates that you do care about that. Because I mean, I am lucky. I've had managers that have asked and we've done this exercise, but I don't know, I don't think that's a universal experience. I don't think every manager is taking the time to know that about their team. So I think that's also powerful too, like really, putting the effort in to learn that. So I think that is really great too. We're getting a couple comments. So I want to see what we can address here. I know someone's sharing that maybe at their organization, recognition seems maybe not what we would want it to be for someone who had a 15-year anniversary. Yeah, it's not always ideal, the processes that are in place. I think maybe that's a discussion that could be had about what you can do differently. Again, I think sometimes by default we think of like just monetary things as the incentive or motivator, but maybe there's something publicly that your team could do to address that huge milestone 15-year anniversary. And then let's see, Ruthie's mentioning personality tests are really helpful to getting to know your colleagues. Right, and I agree. You can kind of pair that with some of these motivator or motivational quizzes to really understand what makes people tick and what they respond to. So thank you for sharing. I will try to get to more of the comments. So keep chatting in there, everyone. Appreciate that. Moving on to another question here. We kind of chatted about this a little bit at the beginning, but I think we can maybe drill down a bit because this is kind of what's coming up in the chat too. But let's keep talking about tips for increasing engagement on an individual level. So we've talked about, really trying to get to know everyone individually, these motivational quizzes you can do, these personality tests. But I think maybe when it comes down to the day-to-day level of it all, what does that look like? What should our one-on-one meetings look like? What should that communication look like? How do you make it sort of an ongoing exercise?
Absolutely. And I think, this is where you're going to have to be very creative because sometimes if you have that standard one-on-one template where you're going through a list of topics, but you're not necessarily carving out time just to talk to that person, again, outside of the work, then it can come off as a bit disingenuous in terms of what your true motives are. And so, again, you have to find ways to kind of build that trust. So just to give you an example, one time someone was leaving my immediate unit and I asked, and they came to me for an exit interview. They only wanted to speak with me. And so, after this person has been in the division for maybe 3 or 4 years, and I was brand new in terms of being the division director. And I found that I felt glad that that person, even though it was a very significantly short period of time between when I started and when they were leaving, that they felt comfortable enough to approach me with the reasons why they were leaving. And so one of the questions that I asked was, if they were not leaving, would they feel comfortable enough to trust me with the information that they were sharing? And the answer was no. And so I asked, well, how can I, as the newest member of this division, the team, etc., from your lens, start building trust? And they said, carve out time to speak to us on an individual basis. And so one of the things that I've since done, and this is now included in the division strategic plan, is hosting biannual office hours. So for at least 2 weeks, twice a year, I block off time on my calendar. Anyone who wants to come to me about anything, highly confidential information, they're allowed to share with me. If they request that we not meet in my office, then I find a place outside of our floor where we can meet so that they can feel comfortable enough that others are not watching their actions. Another thing that I also did was, we're all busy as managers and supervisors. There's lots of work to do. And when, depending on the size of your team, there's more responsibilities than others. But making sure that you carve out the time as well to leave your office, leave your desk, and walk around, even if it's a matter of saying, good morning, how are you doing today? Right? It kind of helps to break down that wall and try to get people to open up and be comfortable just having a regular conversation with you. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but aligning your words and your actions, it's huge. It definitely helps to build your integrity and move that trust needle with your team. Because if you're saying one thing, but you're not acting it out, then again, you kind of come off as disingenuous and untrustworthy. You also want to ensure that you're prioritizing feedback from your staff members. Not everything they tell you can be implemented, but what are those quick wins, right? For another example, we were having a branch meeting, division all hands meeting rather, and someone talked about, all of our accomplishments are highlighting the task, the tactical aspect of the work, the numbers, the deliverables, the deadlines. That was what was being highlighted in our accomplishments. And so the person said, at what cost to the staff members? Right away, I thought about what could be a quick win here. The quick win was to carve out 30 minutes each Wednesday for employee well-being. So they have a free 30 minutes where they can add to their lunch hour. They can do anything that they want to do during that 30 minutes that's non-work related. And so I instructed all managers between 12 and 12:30, we send no emails. We do no chats. We discuss nothing related to work. If a staff member chooses to go for a walk, that it's okay. We don't have to monitor Teams chats because that's not what we're here for during that time. And so that received great feedback, just in terms of us looking for a way where we can immediately address someone's concerns about their well-being at that time. So again, always look for, once you get feedback from staff, what are those quick wins? If it's something bit more intense or just needs a bit more planning and thought, again, this is where you communicate why we cannot implement this immediately. Maybe we need to set up a work group to kind of think about it more. How does it align with priorities, etc. And again, I've said this multiple times now, just getting to know people on a personal level will definitely make a big change. And then you want to foster innovation those passion projects. So again, when you get to know your staff and what their motivators are and the things that really drive them, you can build a passion project out of anything, whether it means organizing SharePoint. Some people just love to organize things. That's a passion project, right? Some people just love to write. How can we get them involved in a newsletter for the division, right? So looking at things that can really infuse some sense of some fun, so to speak, into the day-to-day work. People like planning activities, get them on a social committee. So just looking for various ways that you can really tap in on their interest as well can definitely help to increase that micro level, engagement rather, on an individual level.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think those tactics that you mentioned are so impressive. It just seems like really following through, like you're saying, following through on the feedback. So that, and it seems like maybe even like a little progressive, right? That you have that office hours for 2 weeks. That's a huge like time commitment and resource commitment, but I'm wondering if you can maybe provide a little bit of feedback on how you feel like that has gone. Like, what have you seen come out of that?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of things that came out of it. So one of the things that one for myself, both myself and the division director, so we offset. So I will take, for example, the first office hours and I will block off my 2 weeks, and then she will take the second that's doing the twice a year office hours. And so we compare notes, right? We also look to see, is it the same people that are coming? Is it the same people from the same branches that are coming to us? And what exactly is the feedback that we're getting? And so for one specific example, we received for both of us at least 10 members from one branch. So that was a red flag right away, because we knew there was something happening in that branch. And so what we did, we used the feedback that we received from the branch members to infuse into our one-on-one meeting with the branch chief for that specific branch. Rather than, of course, we want to ensure that people remain comfortable to come to us and disclose what's happening. And so confidentiality is huge where that is concerned. And so we found a very creative way where we can provide that feedback to the branch chief without even disclosing to her that, there's staff members were coming and kind of, complaining about them. And so we provided, there was lots of concerns about the work and how it's being done, and them being receptive to even feedback from their respective staff members. And so what we did for that person is created kind of a monitoring tool for their branch, just to be able to work with their staff members again on an individual basis. How can they be more supportive to their staff? We identified trainings, etc. And by the time we did the second round of office hours, first of all, we had less people from that branch coming. And then we also started getting more positive feedback about that specific supervisor. One of the biggest markers that we used for success since we started that was our federal employee viewpoint scores, where for the first time since we took over management of that division, we actually got branch level data from that specific branch. So we were actually able to see tangible scores of how the needle has been moved since we started listening to those feedback. And again, looking for those quick wins and kind of implementing the things that we can implement quickly.
That's really powerful. That's an amazing little like supervisory case study here of how to approach that. So really thank you for sharing that. I mean, I just think that's such a powerful example for how to put something in practice. And like you said, get the feedback and then do what you say you're going to do and go for those quick wins and just start getting momentum around it. So thank you for sharing that. It's really interesting. We're almost at time. This always happens, but I do have one more question for you before we go. I always like to kind of do this end on a positive note and zoom out. We're all busy, competing priorities all over the space, all over the place. But what's, in a best case scenario, why do we want to care about motivation? Why is that something as a supervisor you should put time and energy behind instead of being like, oh, whatever, I can't get to it. Why does this matter? Why should we care about it?
Well, first of all, as managers and supervisors, one of the best advice that I got when I became a new supervisor, it's no longer about me, right? You are setting up the next generation of leaders within your organization. And if you really care about the work, And if you really care about the sustainability of the mission that you have for your work, you would want to invest in your respective employees and your staff members to ensure that they have the tools to succeed. Another big thing as to why is because you cannot get anything done if you do not have staff that buys into your vision, right? Your staff members make you look good. And I'm a living testament of that. I come from an organization where I manage a very large portfolio of programs, over 12 programs, 12 very unique programs, over $200 million annually. I cannot get anything done if my staff members are not working and producing results. And so it's in my best interest to ensure they have everything they need, including morale, a good culture for them, professional development opportunities, time where they can literally take leave and don't have to worry about what's happening in the office. So it's in our best interest, again, to make sure that we're investing in our staff members, because we cannot get anything done. They're our most valuable resource in the workplace. Some of the tangible results that you can see is improved relationships with your team members, positive work environments, improvement in morale. You can see it for those who are, federally employed, viewpoint scores. You can see your scores, the needle moving in a positive direction. And so for some of those reasons that I've listed, I think it's really, really, really important for supervisors to care about ensuring that they have a motivated team, but not also getting them on the motivated track. You want to ensure that you're keeping them motivated by taking the tools necessary, even developing yourself, investing in yourself as a leader to ensure that you're maintaining that level of motivation that you worked so hard to develop.
Yes, so much to take away from this conversation, Melissa. Thank you so much. I know we're a little over time, so I will be brief here, but I just want to remind everyone that we have another virtual discussion coming up later in January next year about goal setting. So that's always a good way to kick off the year there. If anyone on the call is ever interested in being a speaker, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. But Melissa, thank you so much for your expertise and your time. This always happens. It's always a very dense conversation and we could keep going for hours, but we're so glad you could join us today. And thank you to everyone on the call again for taking your time to be here to learn and grow from each other. We will send out a follow-up email tomorrow with some of the resources we mentioned. We want to continue to support you on your supervisory journeys here in government, and we're committed to helping you all with that. So, Melissa, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.